Secret of Japanese people long life. The Japanese have the highest life expectancy at birth among the G7 countries. The higher life expectancy of the Japanese is mainly due to fewer deaths from ischemic heart disease, including myocardial infarction, and cancer, especially breast and prostate. The higher life expectancy of Japanese people is mainly due to fewer deaths from ischemic heart disease and cancers, particularly breast and prostate cancer. This low mortality is mainly attributable to a low rate of obesity, low consumption of red meat, and high consumption of fish and plant foods such as soybeans and tea. Less red meat, more fish and seafood. The Japanese eat on average almost half as much meat as Canadians, 46% less, but twice as much fish and seafood. This considerable difference translates into a reduced dietary intake of saturated fatty acids, which is associated with a lower risk of ischemic heart disease, but an increased risk of stroke. On the contrary, dietary intake of omega-3 fatty acids found in fish and seafood is associated with a reduced risk of ischemic heart disease. The lower consumption of red meat and higher consumption of fish and seafood by the Japanese could therefore explain the lower mortality from ischemic heart disease and the higher mortality from cerebrovascular disease in Japan. Experts believe that the decline in death from cerebrovascular disease is associated with changes in the Japanese diet, specifically increased consumption of animal products and dairy products, and consequently of saturated fat and calcium, a consumption which remains moderate, combined with a decrease in salt consumption. Indeed, contrary to what is observed in the West, the consumption of saturated fat in Japan is associated with a reduction in the risk of hemorrhagic stroke and to a lesser extent of ischemic stroke, according to a meta-analysis of prospective studies. The cause of this difference is not known, but it could be attributable to genetic susceptibility or confounding factors according to the authors of the meta-analysis. Fresh vegetables. The Japanese, unlike the countries in the West, consume a lot of fresh vegetables, seaweed means, fermented soy, rice, and fish. It ensures adequate phytochemicals, vitamins, and minerals. The eating habit surely adds the extra mileage as far as mortality is concerned. Soybeans. Soy is a food mainly consumed in Asia, including Japan where it is consumed as is after cooking, edamame, and especially in processed form, by fermentation, soy sauce, miso paste, natto, or by coagulation of soy milk, tofu. It is an important source of isoflavones, molecules that have anti-cancer properties and are beneficial for good cardiovascular health. Consumption of isoflavones by Asians has been linked to a lower risk of breast and prostate cancer. Sugar. The Japanese consume relatively few sugars and starches, which partly explains the low prevalence of obesity-associated diseases such as ischemic heart disease and breast cancer. Green tea. The Japanese generally consume green tea with no added sugar. Prospective studies from Japan show that green tea consumption is associated with a lower risk of all-cause mortality and cardiac death. Contribution of genes and lifestyle to the health of the Japanese. Some risk factors for cardiovascular disease and cancer are hereditary, while others are associated with lifestyle, diet, smoking, exercise, etc. At the turn of the 20th century, there was significant Japanese immigration to the United States, especially California and Hawaii, and South America, Brazil, Peru. After a few generations, the descendants of Japanese migrants adopted the way of life of the host countries. While Japan has one of the lowest incidences of cardiovascular disease in the world, this incidence doubled among the Japanese who migrated to Hawaii and quadrupled among those who chose to live in California according to a 1975 study. More body activity. Japanese love to commute in public transport. They get up, go to their nearest station, wait for the train, stand in the train and walk to their workplace from the station. Although there are an ample number of cars in the country, using it is considered to be a luxury. Japanese also get a wake-up call for exercise every morning. This results in an increased level of energy, more focus at the workplace and better athleticism. Healthcare. Japanese have got a foolproof healthcare from the year 1960. They visit their doctors more than a dozen times a year. This is 4 times as compared to their US counterpart. What's fascinating is the fact that it costs the Japanese government only 8% of the GDP. It goes without saying that Japanese get to know about any probable diseases that they might have well before any damage could happen. Although the Japanese diet is different from those of Western countries, it has similar characteristics to the Mediterranean diet. Why not prepare delicious Japanese soy dishes from time to time, for example, tofu, edamame, miso soup, drink green tea, eat less meat, sugar and starch and more fish? Not only will your meals be more varied, but you could enjoy the health benefits of the Japanese diet.